Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
That's good.
Good to see you again.
You too.
In his home habitat.
Yeah.
I think we're all in our home habitats now. So
Well, I like what's behind. I like what's behind your shoulder habitat. That's nice too.
yeah. There's
That's
some
okay.
stuff up
That's
there.
good.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a little room we hide in.
Yeah.
You got some good wall art behind you there too, there, Kenny.
Yeah, some Comic-Con stuff from the old days and
Marlon.
Yeah,
Mr.
just the
Brando.
dawn to remind us of
Yeah.
when you do favors for people that one day you'll be called upon. Not the reciprocity is the fact of life, but in the Italian world, it sure the hell is.
Yeah. Phil, on the other hand, looks like you're sitting in the dark over there.
I am, yeah. I'm in the studio, so I got the I don't know. All the lights are. My daughter was in here singing earlier and then recording stuff, so everything's all screwed up. So
Cool.
we'll figure it out.
I laugh at him today. I think I've done 100 and how many episodes have we done? This is 153.
150. This will be 154, I think.
154. I didn't realize Phil had any rooms in the house outside of this one. Today, he called me Mark this morning from the living room. I thought, fuck, Phil has it upstairs. I didn't realize that. I thought Phil just had a basement with
I just have the basement. I'm locked.
cloth on the walls.
Yeah.
Cool. 154 episodes. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. We've
almost got 10 listeners now.
Yeah,
we're killing it, man.
Man.
None of our family listens to us, but someone does.
Ironically, our family doesn't listen to us, right? Neither the wives do, because we probably I fixed the wife's stat. So she thinks that her phone thinks that, she listens to us, but not really. So
Not really. No, I think my wife's listened to 2 episodes.
Yeah, and none of them because of you. All of them because of somebody else.
No,
so, yeah.
Man. I do get asked how they went. I mean, at least she knows what I'm doing, and she's quasi interested. So that's like a huge step.
Okay. Yeah, we accept.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. Have you done any podcasts before, Mike? Or
I have not. No, it's my first one. Thank you. I'm honored.
First one. Excellent.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
We are honored that you came on. Yeah.
Your good buddy Mark Sterling was giving me a hard time, saying that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel having me on here, but because he was on a couple months ago, so he figured they were going from the top down. I told him it was the other way around.
We were in a pickle. We were in a pickle. We had nobody, so we said, "Fuck, let's get Mark."
Yeah.
Well, I think we phoned the probably last minute. Phil, Mark, just come on. You got nothing else going on.
Yeah, just come on. I think
that's
literally what we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's telling me, I'm going to text Mike, tell him how hard it is. I said, whatever. I think our reputations precede us, and we're not prepared for this. We just shoot this shit and see where it goes.
We love it.
No, I've listened to a bunch. It's
okay.
You guys do a good job.
Okay.
It's a good time.
Good. So today we've got Mike Roberts on. We're excited. We're excited to get Mike on. It's funny because I think between Kenny, Mark, and I, we know you from all sorts of different places. Which is a really good thing. I think it means that you're out in the market and out and about. But Mike Roberts is the VP of vendor relations at Purity Life. I think I got that. If not, you're going to correct me. But we're just excited. VP, yeah, go ahead.
Purchasing and vendor relations, but yeah, you're close enough.
Vendor. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and we're excited because one. Mike is he's in the retail scene here in Canada and abroad and has a ton of experience. And then I think the other thing is just Purity Life has a very interesting spot in the industry, that helps a lot of brands, small, medium, and large. And I think that's something we're always trying to do for listeners. So we're excited to have you on. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Purity's kind of
thanks,
cool
Rob.
that way because Purity does. What's cool about it too, Phil, if you think about it, is they small to very large, natural focus, mass focus, like a little bit of everything. And you guys do a good job at what you do. So that's kind of, we were kind of excited. We thought for our listeners, especially some of the small guys, maybe some pointers on how to play this game.
Yeah.
And then from a perspective of where this industry's at, what the shit the last 10 months have done to all of us, what things look like out there, where things are going. We'll see if we can crystal ball. We've been crystal balling for months now, so I have no idea where the hell this is all going. But
it's an interesting, I think what's cool too, having you on now is we've talked to, the last, I don't know how many episodes we've spent talking about how retailers need to think about COVID differently, how consumers are shopping COVIDly, but you are literally in the middle of these guys, right? And that's something that we haven't really spent a ton of time on is, you don't look that much worse for wear. So maybe it has been
that bad,
too crazy, but we'd love to get, your perspective on, how things are going, supply, like all this stuff and where it goes. Maybe a good
quick intro first, maybe.
Maybe give us the down low on you and what your background is and what's going on at Purity.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great. I guess if you go way back, I started my career in retail part-time while I was in school working at Zehrs, which is one of the Loblaws banners in the dairy department there, which was a great part-time job. I mean, money was excellent. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. From there, went to school, and out of school, actually got a job at one of the Loblaws head offices in Toronto. Saw a posting at the local Zehrs store in Waterloo, Ontario, where I worked, and was fortunate enough to get that job in the supply chain group at Loblaws. Was there for a couple of years. Then went to Pure Source, which is actually a competitor of ours. So they're another natural products distributor out of Guelph, Ontario. Took on some more responsibilities there, and then was kind of looking for a little bit more than what they could offer me at the time. So actually left the natural products industry and went to Humpty Dumpty Snack Foods, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're potato chip snack company. I was only there for a short time actually, and my manager at Pure Source had left there and went to Purity Life and contacted me and said there was an opening there that he thought I might be interested in of direct purchasing position. So left Humpty Dumpty. So it seemed like a good opportunity. Not, it didn't seem like I was worried because it wasn't maybe necessarily the best career move to only be somewhere for such a short period of time. I didn't want to make it look like I was jumping around all over the place, but it was too good of an opportunity to turn up. So I left, and it turned out to be one of the best moves I've ever made. Because Humpty Dumpty got sold to Old Dutch 6 months later, and the office I was in got shut down and everyone lost their jobs. And B, Purity's been a great place to grow in my career. I've been with Purity ever since, so for the last 15 and a half years or so. So started off in Purity, direct purchasing, gone some vendor relation, new brand, onboarding responsibilities for a while. And then as we grew, we were actually, the company was sold by the original owners to a publicly traded company called Synopta. And under them, we acquired a contract manufacturing company that made capsules, tablets, powders, which fit into our portfolio at the time, because we actually owned some brands of our own at the time.
Okay.
So I was moved down to Brantford to be the general manager of that facility, so managed that for a few years. And then Synopta decided to go in a different direction for kind of what they wanted to be as a company. They owned several dozen different companies, and they wanted to get out of the distribution business. So we were actually purchased by our president and CEO, Matthew James, along with Banyan Capital Group. That was back in 2012, I believe. And through that purchase, we went through sort of a strategization session, if I don't know how you want to put it, of kind of who we were. And really what it came down to was we're a distributor. We move boxes. We do a lot more than that, but at the heart, we're a natural products distributor. We're not a manufacturer. We're not a brand owner. We're a distributor. So we're really focused on that. And so we sold off the manufacturing company that I was at, along with some brands. So when that happened, moved back to our head office, took on some purchasing, vendor relations responsibilities again, along with some brand management. Did that for a little while, and then actually moved over to the sales side of things. And I was our senior director of sales for several years, which was completely new venture for me, but great experience. Great career growth to learn a different side of the business, and was fantastic. Did that for several years, and then just recently, back in I guess it was August, moved into the role I'm in now, so VP of Purchasing and Vendor Relations. So it's been a great ride so far, and I'm sure it will continue to be. Purity's grown and changed, for the better, and lots of opportunities. It's been really great for me, and it's an exciting industry that we work in the natural products industry. Like you were referring to before, there's everything from the the mom and pop startups on the brand side and the retailer side of things, people that are just passionate about natural products in our industry, all the way up to huge billion-dollar corporations. Yeah, it's been great and a fun ride so far.
Wow, I didn't realize it was you had that diverse play with it. I thought you were mostly within the distribution side. I didn't realize you had gone to work in their manufacturing facilities as well. Because they owned Quest for a while, right? Because I did a gig with Quest after I left London, even. So they had Quest for a while.
Yeah, several years we owned.
That, right?
Yeah, Quest, Nature's Harmony, Herbon, Vividus.
That's right. Yeah.
I think I'm probably forgetting something, but yeah, we kind of half a dozen brands that we owned. That, yeah, we sold them all off kind of 2013, 2014. Like I said, they're really focused on who we are as a company, and that was really a big part of our. I don't want to say big part of our turnaround to be really successful starting then was really focus on who we are and what we do really well, and make sure that we do that as well as we can. And it's been fantastic. We've grown significant double-digit growth since then, so it's been great.
I think that was sort of the TSN turning moment for you guys. I think once you guys figured out, you make it sound worse than it is. You guys are yes, you definitely in the business of moving boxes. You just happen to do it exceptionally well. Right? I mean, there's a lot of distributors in our country. There's lots in our country, lots in the States who move boxes. Some do it okay. Some do it beyond piss poorly. And there's not many that actually do it well. Like there really isn't. There's not that many. I mean, I come from both sides, and definitively, you guys do move boxes really well. You're not hard to deal with. You get it. Things move quickly.
That's our brand promise.
Not complicated, right?
Yeah, our brand promise is easier to do business with, and that's both outward facing for our retailers as well as for our vendor partners. And yeah, at the end of the day, when it comes right down to it, what do? We move boxes, but we do a lot more than that, and we try to be very value added to our retailer and vendor and broker partners, and things like category management, all the information we provide, really working with retailers to grow their business. On the vendor side of things, we're very transparent with the information that we provide, which a lot of other distributors don't do. One of our core values is transparency, and we feel that on the vendor side of things, if we share our information of what's happening with our business and it helps them to grow their business through us, then it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah.
Hey, so if I because I think that's a question I get asked a lot. Like when like brands that are starting to figure out who they want as a distributor, or if they want a distributor, it might be a question for both of you really, is like, what makes you good at what you do? No trade secrets, right? But what makes you good at what you do? And then what's a bad distributor look like, right? Like, I don't know how many times I get this from brands, right? Because brands that are just getting into the game and they have no idea, right? Like they don't know what they're looking for, and they don't know what is good and what is bad. So I think like our audience would benefit from that.
Let me just interject, Mike, before you start, and I'll tell you why. Because the audience does need to know, because I do have, it's a different play that I have with Purity, because I do a contract with NRC, and NRC is distributed through Purity. So everything I say about Purity is not because of anything to do with NRC, just to be very clear. I have sent numerous vendors to Purity Life prior to being at NRC, and I will during NRC. And if there ever is a post NRC, I would, as long as you guys continue to do what you do. So just so everybody knows, that I do have a relationship with Purity in terms of the brands I've represented, what they do. So there's a bias, but it's a bias that is prior to even that. When I was with London as a buyer, if I was going to buy from distributors within Canada, and I'll give you the reasons why to answer your question, sort of, Phil. The reason from my side, what it was, is one, they carried a large variety of product. Two, they were very focused in what they carried. So even though the portfolio was very large, it was natural focused. So I didn't have to fuck around trying to find the natural page versus the normal page, you know, because remember I came from the other side. You know, that side, I didn't have to do all that work. The representation that they had at head office level was fantastic. And they did at least have reps in fields where a lot of distributors do. But again, piss poor is sort of the mandate of the day in most distributors. Now, not to make Mike's head too big, they have their challenges too sometimes with the field, but that's because their portfolio is very large too. So it makes it a little more cumbersome for a rep. So you really have to resonate as a brand to typically get the hugs and kisses out of the reps and stuff, but at least you can. So not to make Mike's head bigger than it needs to be, but that's why as a buyer, when I bought, and even now as a vendor, never mind as a contractor for a vendor, is why I would say that Purity, or people like Purity, and there's not a ton of them, but people like them, do well, and why I would sort of push that way. But I just wanted to clarify that, just so nobody thinks, okay, you know, well, Benucci's
It's a sponsored episode.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, I'm very happy with what Purity does for us. So we're all very clear on that. Yes, I am. But enough to send other people to them as well that I have nothing to do with, just to clarify.
No, thank you. We appreciate the kind words, and we appreciate all the referrals for sure.
So yeah, go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
So now you can answer, Mike.
Yeah, I think your question was maybe not so much even specific to Purity, but just what to look for
in general
within a distributor in general. What should a brand look for? Why should a brand go with a distributor?
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, we've talked about a lot for sure. And I've done presentations on before with the CHFA or with District Ventures to up and coming brands. And really it comes down to, it sort of all depends. Every brand's different, and it depends what they're looking for and where they're at in the stage of their development. As we've grown at Purity, back in our infancy, we were, I would say, better at bringing on younger, more infantile brands and helping them grow. And that was because we had less brands in our portfolio and had more time to help really focus and make them grow. As we've grown, that's something we're not as great at now. Now, depending what the product is, if it's something that's, you know, unique and, you know, we haven't seen before, we think there's great opportunity, then for sure we can get behind it and we can do really well with it. But a new upcoming brand might be better with a more regional focused distributor that is really going to help them focus and grow their brand and help them, you know, kind of hold their hand along the way. And then as they grow, then they might grow into something like us, where we're a national distributor. So we're coast to coast within Canada. We have 3 different DCs, one in Ontario, one in Calgary, and one in Vancouver. National reach. So like I say, depending on the size of the brand and what they're looking for, we might be a little bit too big for them. They might not be quite ready. They might not have the cash flow to be able to invest in the inventory that's required to go through us. The other thing that the brand should look for is just depending on the characteristics of their product. So for example, we only sell like dry grocery, health and beauty items. We don't do any fresh or frozen. So, you know, your fresh frozen product, you obviously need to go with a distributor that has those capabilities. Yeah. That's fairly simple. One other thing, you know, we tell people to look for, do you have a sales force of your own? Yes or no? Probably not. Most brands, unless they're huge, don't have a sales force of their own. So, you know, does the distributor have a sales force? How much time are they able to dedicate to you? Maybe you need to bring on a broker. So there's lots of brokers out there that can help brands, you know, grow and just have extra feet on the street. What's the relationship like that the distributor has with different retailers in Canada? We're the primary distributor for the Whole Foods Whole Body Set, for example. So huge, you know, selling point for us when we're looking to bring on new vendors, and a huge selling point for those vendors to come on with us, because, you know, we're that primary supplier into Whole Foods, into that set. We sell at order minimum. So if a customer gets their order into us before 11 o'clock, most points across Canada, depending on the shipping time, your order will ship same day for delivery the next day with a $350 minimum. So it's very easy for retailers to order from us. And we sell supplements and health and beauty products, primarily by the unit. So store wants to order, one bottle of your supplement or one bottle of shampoo, whatever, to try it. They're able to easily add that onto their order and get that from us. Most food items that we have, we sell by the case. But any, like I say, health and beauty supplements, higher dollar value stuff, we sell by the unit. And we have over 400 brands that we distribute now, about 12,000 SKUs. So for a store to, hit a $350 minimum, very easy. And for them to add on 1 or 2 units or something because they want to try it, makes it really easy for them to get product through us. Look at what those vendor, minimums are. What's their retailer reach for us. Our primary place that we play in is the independent health food channel. That's about 75-80% of our business. But we do sell to all the big food, drug, mass guys, so Loblaw, Shoppers, Walmart, and then a lot of the big online players too would be the rest of the kind of makeup of our business. So depending where you want your brand to go, if it's a distributor that only sells to the independent health food channel, well, you're either going to have to go to those other food, drug, mass guys yourself direct, which may be better given the cost of doing business. You might want to do that, but you might not have the connections there where, we have reps that call on those accounts and get in there. That's maybe a long-winded answer to your question, but yeah, like I say, it depends a whole lot of things.
Yeah. No, not at all. I honestly, I think the answer is really helpful, right? Because I don't know, Kenny, I mean, you jump in here too, but I usually, when I wind up giving not as well thought out as that answer that you gave, but equally as long-winded, most of them look at me like I've got, 5 heads when I'm done, right? Because everything boils down to, well, it depends. What do you want? Like, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you need to be national? Do you need, like all these sort of things? But I think hearing it from you helps a lot because it just helps to, kind of shape out all the different factors that really it makes a difference. While I'm at it, if a brand is, kind of national distribution, trying to figure out whether that rules out a bunch of our brands or not, or the folks that we talk to, it may. Is there something you look for? Like what's a moving criteria for you, or what's a deal breaker criteria for you that either makes you think about a brand or will automatically
either way
buy a brand? Yeah.
Think about taking or think about saying
because there are going to be a bunch of listeners going, ooh, I got to call Mike tomorrow, right? Like Mike's going to be like,
no,
oh my
sure.
God, they listen to the podcast and like,
don't do that.
Yeah.
I guess first and foremost is we only play within the natural product category. So it needs to be a natural organic product. And that can be, a fairly loose definition depending who you talk to. Sort of maybe the most generally accepted standard is the Whole Foods list of acceptable, non-acceptable ingredients. That's a pretty standard one to go by. So that would be the first thing we look for. And then it's, nobody has a crystal ball of what's going to happen and how a brand is going to be successful. But at that point, it's almost just gut feel of what we see in the market and what we think is going to happen and what the potential is. Now, some are no-brainers. If a brand comes to us and they've got a whole bunch of existing sales that they want to move over to us, and that's happened before. As brands grow, they sell direct, and then you realize you're selling to these thousands of little independent health food stores, and it's a pain in the butt logistically to look after that. And their real strength is building their brand and focusing on the sales and marketing aspect of it. They just want to get rid of that back end logistics, and that can plug in very quickly and easily into our distribution network. So if there's existing business, for sure, that's an easy no-brainer for us that we'll have those conversations and it'll go pretty quick. Newer brands where maybe there isn't that existing business, then it's really what do we think that potential is? What is the brand's marketing and growth plan, and what are they going to do to help support and grow the brand? Because in the past we've learned from our mistakes, and there's been quite a few of them, but we learn from them. And it's listing a brand and having it just show up in our catalog and be listed there. If no one's behind it, marketing it and pushing it, and especially, drawing the consumer to the shelf to get that pull off the shelf, it's not going to sell. Just listing it there isn't necessarily going to work. Right. So we want to make sure that there's support behind it so that we don't go through all that time and effort of listing something and then, not have any sort of sales or marketing effort behind it. And, we've got a new product committee headed by our senior vendor relations manager and new products, Dale Simmons, and he's been doing that for a while. And really has a good knack and a good, I would say, gut feel for what's going to work. And like I say, do they all work? No, but the majority of the time, he does a pretty good job, and his crystal ball is pretty good. So
that's cool.
One of the things, Mike, that I know, because I've worked for a few distributors as well, contract again. But a lot of times what happens, brands will come up, typically the ones that are a little smaller or just trying to get going, or they're going, but they're not too sure what to do. I want to know how you guys answer something like this. The first one is usually they'll say, oh my God, yeah, shit, I should go to Purity. That's fantastic. I would like to sell direct to everybody, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to go to Purity or someone like a Purity. And the first thing they learn very quickly is there's, depending on who the distributor is, a 20 to 40% margin that they have to build in. And then they just look and think, well, shit, well, how come that? Like, what happened? Why is that so high? Like, what do I get for this now big extra cost? I could have gone and sold it by myself.
Yep.
Like, how do you get around those ones?
For sure. And those happen all the time. And when we're talking to new brands in their infancy, that's something we really stress to them, is make sure that you build in margin for a distributor, because maybe you don't want or need one now, but in all likelihood, as you grow, you'll probably need one at some point. So make sure you've built in that margin so that you can account for them without having to put through a massive price increase. And you know, a lot of brands that we distribute, about 40% are exclusive, so they're only distributed through us. The other 60 are with us and other distributors out there. And probably, almost 100% of them, even though they have some sort of distribution network set up, they're still selling direct, depending on, the customer, they may want to keep it direct for themselves.
Right.
But yeah, as far as that distributor margin goes, and yeah, they bring up that question, what are they getting from us? Well, they're getting, access to our distribution network, which is, about 7,000 doors all across Canada. Easy access to all of those retailers, like I said, with their $350 minimum, 3 shipping points through us to our 3 different warehouses versus them having to ship to, their hundreds or thousands of customers that they have direct on their own. So they're getting rid of all those logistics costs. And another big one is one receivable. They're not having to deal with collecting from all these different, retailers and worrying about all of that. It's one receivable through us, through a trusted, reputable company where they know they're going to get their money, and not have to worry about collecting from everyone. And then our sales team. So we have a sales team of about 25 people across the country. That's a combination of inside sales, outside sales people that are on the road every day, and then some key account people. And now I say access to our sales team. Does that mean our sales team's, going to be selling their brand on every single call that they do? No, that would be impossible with us having 400 brands. But what it does mean is they're part of, Purity Life and our portfolio of brands and products and services that we sell. And yeah, our team's out selling that every day, and they're a part of that.
Mm-hmm. I think that part brands fail to appreciate the most, right? Is I think that idea that, because sometimes like really simple things that fail when you go to the wrong broker is you're the only brand in that portfolio that, the salespeople need to call on a different buyer for example, and it becomes something where, they just don't have the same traction, right? Because, like when Kenny bought the category and he knew he could come to you and get, and talk to you about the 35 brands that you've delivered into London Drugs, it allows those brands to get synergy out of the conversation. It allows you to have a proper conversation with Kenny. But if you're showing up at my door and I've only got one brand, it's a lot more work, right? For one thing, and you're just not going to get the same attention span. So I think that's key to this conversation too in there.
That's a great point, Phil. We have brands, and it's more when we're out trying to woo a brand to come in with us and our sales pitch to them. And they'll say, well, you've already got, X amount of health and beauty lines. Why would I want to be just another one with you guys? I'll get lost. And well, no, that's not the case. We control that category. So you want to be with us because we walk into a store and we look at the, 10, 28, whatever foot section that it is. And 90% of the products in there are coming from us because that retailer wants it to be easy. They want to just order everything from one place, have everything come in on one order instead of having multiple trucks showing up at their back door.
Yeah.
So they're part of that set. And in a lot of retailers, we actually go in and do the planogram work for them. So we're in there controlling what's in that set. By you being a part of our, of our distribution portfolio, you're a part of that whole thing. So you're not that one-off, like you said. You're not lost within the shuffle. You're a part of that whole group, and you can put on the shelf.
I want to ask you about, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Phil. Go.
No, I want.
It's a hard one for me because I get so biased, right? Because I'm a huge proponent of distributors in general anyway, especially when you're starting up and you're just getting going. I can definitely see there are times you get to size and you may want to go direct because you want to foster a personal relationship with maybe one of the large majors, maybe. Sometimes you don't want to get too close to them, but sometimes you do. I can see it, but I'm a huge proponent of it. And I go back to what Mike said, is that build in the distributor right from the get-go, period. If you don't use a distributor, God bless you, you just made 20 to 40 extra
you
points.
Put more
I mean,
points in
I
your
don't
pocket.
know what the problem with that would be. So quite frankly, it's idiotic not to build it in, but to eliminate shipping, handling, AR, just moving boxes, which most people are really shitty at. Like, it's just really not in the strength of many companies to do that. I'm a huge proponent of using distributors where you can. Even as a buyer, I bought from a lot of distributors. I knew I was paying for the service. I'm not stupid. I can do the math. But it was also easier to buy 7 brands at one time, 10 brands at one time, instead of having 10 meetings with 10 different principals.
Yeah.
And 10 different POs coming now into my building and 10 different AR leaving my building. Like, it's just a bit of a shit show. So there's definitely a reason for using a distributor.
I like it.
Exactly. Thank you.
It's hard. It's just logical. I mean, it really is. There are places, definitely, Mike. I mean, I would tell you, there's places where I took brands from you guys. I would be buying, but I got to a size, and it really and truly just made more sense for me to say, listen, there's nobody's buying through distribution. I can buy direct.
Oh, 100%.
I could take a truckload. Why would I put a truckload in your building and then put it into mine? Yep. I understand that. But for the most part, that's really not the case with most brands. There's very few brands that anybody in the country is buying in truckloads, or if it's small item in full pallets. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way.
No, for sure. And we realize that from our side too. It's kind of the evolution of a brand. We know there's going to be that churning that happens.
Breaking
where
point.
a brand comes in, it grows, and then it may go away, or more often what happens is a portion of it goes away,
right?
Because there's those select accounts where, like London or some of the other big FDM guys, the volume's big enough that they can go direct, or in a lot of cases, the cost of doing business with them is so expensive that they just can't have a distributor in the middle, because the program fees are so costly that they have to go direct. But they don't want to be going direct with all the, smaller accounts and, dealing with all of that extra shipping and handling. Or again, depending on what the product is, the retailers want to be buying it in units, and they don't want to be shipping direct to these retailers in units. Yeah. So that's where it makes sense for us to still be in the picture. So
totally.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, so the other question I get a lot that I don't think little brands in particular, they're trying to figure this out, is when they use a distributor, how does inventory work? Like, so when they ship it into you, do they are they on the hook for you? Are you on the hook for it? I think it's
different ways.
Yeah. What are the different ways to do that?
For sure. So several years ago, we started putting, we don't like to call them contracts, we call them distribution agreements in place with our vendors, essentially outlining, our business relationship with them. Because years and years ago, it was, handshake, this is what we're going to do. And then, next thing you know, those people aren't there anymore, and what was agreed to. So on paper of what our business relationship is. And we have a couple different ways that we do it. There's what, buy, sell, where we buy the inventory, strip it out, collect from the retailer. Inventory. Our distribution agreement does have inventory balancing in there. So if we're overstocked on something, we that inventory once a quarter with the vendor. So,
okay,
we're a little bit high on and bring in something else to replace it. The other stuff up, it can be really advantageous as far as freight goes, and you wouldn't think it, but as far as payment goes too, actually, and for fill rates is on a consignment basis. So we'll bring in more inventory than we would if it was buy sell, because at this point it's the vendor owns it. We bring it into our warehouse, sell it to the retailer. Retailer doesn't know the difference. We essentially track and ship it the same as anything else through our system. And then at the end of the month, we do a sales report, send that to the vendor, show them everything that we sold in the month so that they can invoice us for it, and then we pay them. So that allows us to have, like I say, higher amount of inventory in our warehouse, and really reduces inbound shipping costs because we can bring in full pallets or a couple pallets or whatever, depending on the volume, and have the product closer to the customer. So the vendor does a big production run, and they've got 1,000 cases sitting there waiting. Well, we might bring in 200 or 300 at a time,
right?
Because we don't want to tie up all of our cash, but the vendors already had to do that because of their minimum order. So why not bring in 600 or 700 to our warehouses, have it sitting there in case we get a spike in sales. Also allows us to maximize that inbound freight and really reduce those costs. And then, like I say, every month based on what we sell, we pay the vendor.
Do you get a lot of vendors signing up for that type of thing? Because I'm assuming for small guys, it might be. I'm assuming they're probably looking. Well, I shipped it to you. Like, can we get paid? Like, I don't want to wait till it sells. I could do it to put that in my garage and wait until it's sold. Well, I'm thinking for small guys. Large guys is a different game, right? But it's one of those, like, is that an obstacle? Like, do you have people thinking, oh shit, man, I don't know if I want to do that? Like,
for sure, it goes either ways. And like I say, there's, depending on the situation, there's benefits both ways. We have, I don't know off the top of my head how many, but a lot of vendors that are on that consignment model.
Oh, really? Wow.
Like I say, depending on the situations, it can really make a lot of sense.
I can see the fear.
Yeah,
I can see the fear in the little guy. I just thinking, I got no money. He's got all my stuff.
Yeah, he's got all my stuff, and I have no money.
I got no cash. I know what's going on.
But whether the inventory is sitting in their warehouse or sitting in ours, I guess
a warehouse is a warehouse, and the better off their warehouse will actually move it.
Yeah.
At least this way, and they've reduced their. Typically, we try and negotiate FOB our warehouses, so this way they've reduced their inbound or their shipping costs to get the product to us as well. So,
I guess you're also back to the fact you're back into a larger portfolio. So if your reps are in head offices or in stores, the odds, as long as I'll ask you the question. I guess the odds are I've got better odds of selling because I've got more people potentially out there. As a brand, though, am I allowed to leverage your reps? Can I talk to your reps? Are the reps hands off? How do I? Let's say I'm a little bit hyperactive and I really want to get involved. Like, how involved are you going to let me get? Because they're not my reps, but I want to own them a little bit.
Correct. And this is something that we deal with on a regular basis as well. And we obviously like and want vendors to be engaged and, supportive of their brand. That being said, do we want you, calling all of our reps multiple times a day? No, that's a bit excessive.
So just once a day.
But for sure, there's access. Yeah, for sure, there's access to our reps. I mean, we can do all kind. When we bring on new brands, and then periodically, as line extensions come or time goes by, we do trainings with our reps. So we do a Zoom training where the vendor can get on. Our whole sales team's there. They can do a training on their brand, which we highly recommend be how can our reps most effectively sell your product into the retailer, not a technical training on how the product works and why it's so great, but really what are those selling tips for our reps to be most successful of selling your brand. And then we can do, we do quarterly focuses, SPIF programs. If a vendor wants to go out and do a ride along with one of our reps or go on a sales call with them, depending on, whatever the key account is, our reps will bring the vendor rep along for something like that. I mean, who better to sell a brand than the brand owner or the brand rep themselves? So we'll bring them along in a sales call and do that. So yeah, there's definitely, now not every distributor acts that way. Some distributors are very, black and white. No, you can't have access to our sales.
Yeah. Right.
You have to leave them alone. We're much more the other way to a point. Like I say, we can't have them being completely distracted and overwhelmed with calls and stuff all day. So we try to manage it through the head office level as best as we can. But for sure, there's that access, and our reps are talking to the vendor reps on a regular basis. Mark's talking to our reps all the time.
So that's you, because you're the vendor relations guy. So when Kenny gets a little too handsy, you gotta good.
Well, I let Mark go at it, man. I stay the hell out. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants me involved. I'm well past any sense of feelings, or I couldn't give a shit. Mark's yours, your Mark's. You guys deal with each other. Couldn't care. But I do wonder sometimes. I guess so. As I'm going to come to you, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm past this consignment thing. I think I can manage that. I'd really like to get paid, but I understand. So I got my product in there. I know I'm not allowed to bug the reps too much, but I hear that I can do some training. So what am I allowed to do? So can I, because you said there's a Zoom meeting. So do I get to send, do I send samples to everybody? Like, how am I doing this? Because I don't want to be flying across the country training reps. Like, I'm assuming 2020 after COVID for sure. Like, how are we doing that?
We would ask if samples can be sent ahead of time to our head office, and then we distribute them out to the reps. So you just have to ship them to one place. We want to get those out to our reps before
each rep, like each rep you have. Okay, so 25 reps would have physical. Correct. Okay, cool. To try and
exactly
whatever.
And again, depending on your budget, if you can only afford to give them one, so they can see it and try it, and bring it along with them and show it to customers, but then they need to hold on to it. So be it. If you can give them multiple, then they can leave them with some of their key accounts. Great. But we would ask for those samples, sell sheet to be sent prior to the training, so the rep has it ahead of time. And then, the training, like I said, would be a Zoom training, 20 to 30 minutes with our entire sales team is on that Zoom meeting. So, and like I said before, kind of 15, 20 minutes of, company history, key selling points, a little bit about the product, and then, question answer at the end. And that's where really you have access to the entire sales team during those times. Yeah.
Interesting. No, that's nice. It's a good way for, it's trying to just teach the smaller brands, because a lot of our listeners are going to be the small types of entrepreneurs, small brands. And I think they just really need to understand that is, it's so not necessarily a tool that you're going to get from a lot of brokers and or distributors. It's just not, the world's changed, right? Do you know what I mean? It's just, not, sure. You're not getting handheld like you used to. You guys are still a little bit of an anomaly, that you're still doing a little bit.
And on the training side of things, the real challenge is on the retailer training. To travel across the country and try and train retailers is expensive, difficult to get their time. And if you do get their time, again, it can be expensive of, food, and you might have to pay them to be there and everything else. So something that we've recently implemented is an online training portal for retailers.
That's cool.
It's called Tafoodie. So vendors submit their video trainings, and then the retailers can log in, their employees can log in, go in and watch the videos. Typically, people's time span, or the amount of time you have with them is so limited. So, we recommend kind of 3 to 5 minute snippets of videos, and you can put in multiple trainings depending on the size of your brand and what you want to do. You could have 50 different videos in there if you want. Retailer goes in, watches your training videos, test at the end, and then, they complete it and do it. Then we send them a free gift for, completing that, which would be, whatever we work out with you ahead of time, typically a sample product or something of your brand, so that they've completed that training and then they can get it. So that's something that we've recently implemented and are selling to vendors and to retailers to use that portal, because especially now with COVID, it's a great way to be able to reach retailers, because some of them still don't want a sales rep in the store, let alone getting a whole bunch of people together to do a training. So this way, it's a way that we can effectively hit a lot of those staff on the floor.
So to sort of segue, so like what have been some of the consequences and or I hate saying benefits to COVID because it sounds just horrific.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm trying to get? Like, what have been some of the what have been some of the challenges with COVID for maybe some of the smaller brands, and what have been some of the not so bad things that have happened to smaller vendors because of COVID, outside of COVID just being a train wreck?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fill rates for sure has been a challenge and still remains to be for us. Our sales were at an all-time high in March, April, May.
Supply.
But even though our fill rates were at an all-time low, just the demand had gone up so much for hand sanitizers, soap, hand soap, and immune products, all the categories that we play in. So what was a win? Our sales were through the roof on those categories. But like I say, getting supply was and continues to be a real challenge for us, and that's where we really try to work with our vendors of what can we try and do to help you get product to us, of forecasting, order patterns, lead times, whatever, to work with them. And on their end, we have multiple calls a week with vendors to go through stuff like this and challenges. And it's in the US, we were talking to a vendor the other day, and I mean, their manufacturing plant was shut down because they couldn't get anybody to come in because everyone was sick with COVID. So, nothing's being produced.
Oh my gosh.
Bottles were short. Glass bottles were short for a period of time. So, you don't have anything to put the product in. And so it's that whole supply chain still continues to be a significant challenge for us, for our vendors, and, all the way down the line to the retailer and the consumer of just not having the product to supply.
Yeah, and I don't know long term, obviously we'll get out of this. I don't know what the short term is going to look like.
I mean, I would say it's slowly getting better.
Yeah.
We're in a much better place now than we were back in, April, May, but still not back to the levels that we want them to be at, for sure.
Well, and talk to us all in a month, and we were spiking in BC the way you're spiking in Ontario. The way the States is still a train wreck. I mean,
are
we going to get back to hoarding all those lovely commodities again? Like,
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
I hope not.
You look at like out here, we've really we've got these kind of like modified lockdowns now, right? Because we know a little bit more than we did in the spring. We're a little smarter now than we were. So we know that, like, well, some of us understand more, right? So you're you're not supposed to, gather, weddings and things like that are bad things, right? But retail seems to be not a crazy place. Like it, knock on wood, it doesn't seem to be somewhere that you can, they don't have a lot of cases where people went to retail and picked it up. There are employees that got it, but because they'd been there all day and exposed to lots of people, so
or they got it somewhere else and they just happened to work at that facility. Correct. And that's how the news portrays it, that an employee from wherever tested positive. Well, it doesn't mean they got it there, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And the employee could have been locked down at home doing everything right, just went to the supermarket and picked it up. I mean, it's the virus, guys. It goes where it goes.
So I think, hopefully that's something that, like, the population is digesting, right? Because we really don't want another lockdown like it. I don't think we can afford it, to be honest.
No, for sure.
I don't think we can either.
Yeah.
But.
No, I think, and I really hope that the government's going to be much more selective of not even right now. It's by region where they're paring things down, paring things back to phase 2 or whatever. I think they need to go even more specific than that. And that's even what they're talking about on the news today as well. All of Peel region doesn't need to be shut down. There's pockets within Peel region where they see as an issue. We'll really focus in on those and try and do more testing or shut down whatever you need to to really focus in on those areas instead of penalizing the masses like they have.
Yeah.
So without trade secrets or anything like that, what are you seeing though, Mike, in terms of what is your feel for retail out there? What are you seeing in terms of and maybe this is a more personal thing, just to get inside your head and see what you think. Because Phil and I've had talks ad nauseum, and I've had talks with Mark, and Phil's had talks with Mark, and we're all trying to figure out, like, where are the smaller retailers going to end up? Where is this game going to go? Like, who's going to be left at the end of this? How does this game play without, we don't scare the shit out of anybody who's coming into this, because I think there's a lot of opportunities in CPG still. Lots of opportunities. You got to be a shitload smarter than you were last January.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunities if you're thinking. So maybe some insights to what you think or what you see.
No, I think there's opportunities for sure. And we're talking about this all the time. And I think for the retailers to survive, they need to have some sort of online presence. And with technology out there now, it's, I don't say it's easy, but it's a lot easier and more affordable than in whatever it has been in the past for a small retailer to add on some sort of online presence. And that's where retailers that back in the spring that had that online presence, they survived much better. The ones that were able to quickly pivot and, add some sort of online presence were able to do, a little bit better. And then the ones that did nothing, well, they're not here anymore, or they're really struggling.
Right.
And yeah, brick and mortar, it will be there. And I think it's important. And there's, people are always going to want to go into the store. But they need to complement that with some sort of online for those people that just don't want to go into the store. There's times when, you just want to get online and order something, and most people would probably prefer to support their local retailer that they love going to and enjoy going to. If they can order online from them, they would, instead of, some other, some other place that's just, this big ominous company, right?
Right. Does that change how you guys look at goods though, or procure goods now, or look at how does that change?
Where it's going to be sold, not so much. It's more at a category level of what's trending and what people want. And I don't know that whether it's online or brick and mortar for the products that we sell, if that makes a difference so much as kind of what's trending of, hot new ingredients, or right now it's still really hand soap, hand sanitizers. And immune products.
Right.
They're still doing very well now. Hand sanitizers especially has become a very saturated product. It's, it seems like everybody came out with a hand sanitizer, whether it made sense for their brand or not. But overall, that category is still significantly larger in size than it was, a year ago. And same with hand soaps. Washing your hands more regularly now than people did a year ago. That's not going to go away.
No.
I think that's going to be with us for
that's
a long
habits.
time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And same with immune supplements. I mean, the supplement category was pretty flat for a while, and it's up significantly this year. I think that it'll stay that way for a while because people aren't going to forget this. So they're still going to be wanting to take their supplements to make sure that their immune system is strong, versus a year ago when supplements were flat, and it seemed like people were more trying to get their nutrition and supplementation just through eating healthier foods.
Right.
Now with this extra heightened awareness, people are going back to those supplements for that.
Lots to think about.
Interesting times.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
That's for sure.
Man. Mike, thanks for doing this. This was fantastic.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming
we really
on,
do.
I think it's a nice perspective for small companies to still see that can be done, and there's business being done, and maybe a better understanding of how to use a distributor for their businesses. So,
anytime. Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, thanks.
You've done the first one now. Look at your rock star.
Yeah. Look at you. Yeah. You know what we'd love is if you see changes in the business and you want to come back on and talk about those, ping us.
Sure.
Because I think as we're in second wave now, and then there's a ton of change to come still. So I think if you see things change a lot, we'd love to have you back on. Like just shoot either one of us a note, and we'll bring you back in, and you can do your second podcast.
That'd be great. Thank you.
It's amazing. Cool. All right. Thank you so much.
Do you want to know how to get a hold of them, or all that other lovely stuff?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I almost let you go. So
that's Phil's always that's your standard line.
It's my thing, I almost forgot. So if people want to find you, what's the best way to find you?
You can my LinkedIn. I know you usually put people's LinkedIn profile in the episode header. So for me personally, that's probably the best way. Brands looking for a distributor or retailers looking to want to order from us, go to our website, puritylife.com. Just follow the links there. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mike, thanks. Thanks for doing it a little bit later. I know you guys in the East, are a little bit probably a little tired.
Hey. I should say thanks to you guys for doing it a little bit earlier, because Phil wanted to do it at 11 p.m. at first. I was like, that's way past my bedtime.
You'll find out from your friend in the East. He's all pissy because we moved the time for you and we didn't move the time for him.
Yeah. We do that for special guests.
It's the guests we really want on the show. That's what we'll do.
So anytime Mark gives you a hard time, you just go,
just tell him, man.
I'm a 9 p.m. guest. What? I'm sorry. What time was your podcast? I don't remember.
Exactly. I got the prime time.
Yeah, prime time, baby. Prime time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Phil, hang on the line. I'll get a couple things to go through.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Okay, man. Ciao.
Bye, Mike. Cool.
It's interesting out there, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting out there. It's hard for me to do. I'm biased on these ones, as you can tell, because we're not scripted people. But I really have a hard time not recommending companies. I mean, there's very few cases where direct, unless you're of a size. When you came from the J&J world, or you and I were both buying from Procter and KC and all those big companies. Yeah, I get it. We had warehouses. I like to manage my inventory. I want to know what's going on. The costing becomes into play. I get that.
But the caveat there too is even with those guys, you're really like we're really dealing with like top 15 customers, you know.
Exactly.
And
top 15
brands. Everybody else goes to a broker anyway after that.
Broker / distributor, both.
Yeah. And both. so it's really it's an efficient way to move. I think, you know, the small brands, you and I beat that drum all the time, but you just got to do the costing, right? Like, this is how business gets done. These guys will represent you. You know, we've had a bunch of people on this show that have been successful at representing themselves better than distributors might have, but that's a very, very small. It's a very small percentage, right? In the, you know, for 95, 99% of brands, you got to go to a distributor that matches what you have. I think the coolest part was he told you how you match with purity. You should be asking those questions all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Like distributor, right? Like, I think that's where it gets really cool. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's where most people do fall apart when they pick one, or that the experience they had. Well, fucking distributor didn't do anything for me. So what was your product? Well, I had steaks. Well, who were you using? Well, I was using a guy who sells natural products. Well, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, he sells auto parts, but he's got sales reps. Yeah.
You know, you got to think it through. Like, find a match.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, not to get too, like, if you're in the West and looking for food, Horizon's really good in the natural space. Purity does some stuff. Horizon does a little bit more once you get into some of the different logistics, like Cold Stream and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there are so many distributors out there. Many are mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Someone like a Purity, someone like a Horizon, I think on a national level, are both very good distributors. Each have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
There's a ton of regionals that really do great jobs, but spend the time and really research.
Yeah.
Just the AR savings.
Yeah.
Not having to collect money and all that other bullshit that goes with it is big. Selling direct is tough, man.
Yeah,
it's not as easy.
It's really not that
really
simple.
Not as easy as people think it is. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. Awesome,
so,
man.
Anywho,
that's a good episode.
That was good, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got time now, so that means you can go fix up Mark and I's little report and just gussy it up a little bit. So
yeah. If you want to give me some stuff, but I actually gotta put out our second podcast for the week.
Oh, gotta get Mark out there.
Yeah.
That one's a good one too. I like that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all good, buddy. It's good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
We're Thursday and we're at like 100 downloads already.
Oh.
We're like, you know, we launched Tuesday, right? So like 2 days in, we're at 100 episodes already, or 100 downloads. So yeah.
She was cool though. Kelly was a cool story.
Kelly's so cool. She's just cool.
Her story's cool. Like, she's just smart too.
Yeah.
Like, just like when you listen to smart people, it just, I don't know, it's just nice to listen to.
Yeah.
Right. She knows what she's doing. Like, she's got her shit together. And I don't know. Like, and I think that's what people are going to get a kick out of Mark and Mike as well. I think it's just neat when you hear different perspectives and people out there who actually know what they're doing and can actually help you.
Yeah.
Get through this interesting game of retail.
Yeah. It's cool. Cool, dude.
All right. That's the end of this Commerce Life. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, like us, join us, share us, tell your friends about us. And we hope to see you next time with more commerce news.